Hello, friends. So happy to have you here with me today at Radical Joy. If you've been here before, welcome back. If this is your first time with me, well, I'm glad you're here. Each week, I'm here with you talking to myself about things that weigh on my mind and heart, hoping if you're dealing with something similar, we can adjust our perspectives as you listen. Hey, if you're struggling with something that needs immediate attention, please know that help is available. Just dial 988 nationwide in the U.S. to reach the Mental Health and Suicide Crisis Hotline. All of us here at CLW Studios believe that mental health is a vital part of our well being. The more people I meet and the more places I go, the more I realize how important it is to make people aware of the fact that there is no shame in enjoying the parts of our lives that are incredible. It's time for some radical joy. And this week, the three fingers pointing back at me are for the color violet, represented in this episode by anticipation and worry, the final part of a 7-part series here on Radical Joy for Pride Month. Anticipation and worry. Honest to goodness, these two things feel so unbelievably similar. I think the main difference in these two ideas, if we could even call them two, honest to goodness, these are so similar. It is perspective and mindset. That's all I can figure for it. Anticipation has a connotation of looking forward, excited to see come to fruition, etc. Worry, to me, seems like a very similar feeling, though in a bit of an opposite direction. It feels as though it is dreading. It's putting a weight on something. It is leaving the door open for an unwelcome visitor. And it's just such an interesting concept to try to explore because I think both of them have such a similar life in your mind and heart and just all together everything. If you weren't really cautious, it would be difficult to figure out which was which. There's this wonderful saying, and I've used it 1,000 times if I've said it once. It's never borrow trouble because God knows that heifer is going to find you soon enough without you looking for her. That second half is mine, that heifer bit for sure. I think y'all all know that. It's just one of those things where I think anticipation is one of those things where you get excited about something, and I think you hold a bit more of an open expectation on the situation. I am excited for this because part of it is unknown. And that is also adding to the excitement of whatever is coming. Huzzah, let's do this. Let's put ourselves in the best position possible so that whatever is coming, not only are we ready, we have more than enough room to welcome all that comes with it. Fantastic. When we think of a worry, I think the expectations are through the roof. I think that we've already imagined a worst case scenario and we just continue to build on it. We see it and like, oh my gosh, and then this, and then this, and then this. And it continues to grow and add mass and make this enormous shadow which you can never escape and all of these other things. And it just, oh my God. And the next thing you know, it's gone from molehill to Everest. And you're like, what even happened here right now? And I can't help feeling whenever you open the door for worry, it never enters by itself. It always brings friends, cousins, everybody else who wants to eat at your table. And there's part of you that's a little concerned that there's just not enough to go around, which in her nature, that is exactly what she's doing. Add more worry to an already existing pile, make it bigger, make it heavier, make it more insurmountable, make it intimidating. And the older I get and the less stupid I become, the more I realize I'm like, okay, worry, yes. Honestly, it has its place. It definitely has a use. I think a lot of people rely on worry for their own safety, and I get that. I want to make sure I pay homage and honor to it. It's like, okay, I see it, I hear it, and what I want to say is we can hold those safeties, those precautions in mind and not worry about them. we can take as many precautions as we can, and then we just have to let the chips fall where they may. Well, that sounds incredibly irresponsible. No, it doesn't. What it sounds is we have taken every sensible precaution to make sure that whatever is coming doesn't affect us as adversely as perhaps we are concerned about. And the rest of the time, we do what we came to do. And that's it. I often tell people, I was like, okay, I love my parents. I do. And I know that now that I'm just a little bit older, that often whenever I hear a voice of fear or worry in my head, or it kind of plucks at my heartstrings, I often equate that with my mother. Not that she ever wanted to sow seeds of fear in my heart or my life. She wanted more than anything to protect me. She wanted to keep me safe. She knew I was a risk taker. She knew there was a bold road ahead, and all she ever wanted to do was make sure that the path forward was as safe as she could make it. As I continue to grow and move forward in this world, whenever I think of something that is perhaps beyond reasonable for preparing for a potentially risky situation, and it is operating from more a position of fear than caution, I often think of her teaching in that respect. I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean that in the way that I have come to realize that, and I have to make sure that what I'm doing is using caution and not fear. Fear grabs at us. It pulls at the hem of our garment, it drags behind, and it comes up with irrational reasons not to do the big, fantastic, wonderful thing. And that doesn't help us. It doesn't help us. It can absolutely insulate us from a lot of things in the world, including a metric ton of amazing, in an effort to protect us as effectively as possible from literally everything. So, what I would like to say is let's move forward in caution and still have a lot of joy filling the rest of the vessel. I think a natural sense of curiosity and a general inquisitive nature when looking at a new situation or a potentially hazardous situation serves us far, far better than fear. Fear is one of those things, if we remember Dune, I wish I could remember the author's name right now. I'm so sorry that I can't. Fear is the mind killer. When we latch on to fear instead of caution mixed with joy, I think what that does is it continues to paralyze our thinking parts, and it continues to have us cower in a corner, making sure that we don't have to worry about getting hurt because we have limited our experiences in a significant way. Instead of looking at a brand new opportunity with an enormous sense of anticipation, excitement, again, joy that we get the opportunity to try this new experience and we walk through it with strength and just as carefully as we can, but not so timidly that we miss the mark. It's so, so, so important to make sure that worry is as seldom used or employed as we can possibly do. And whenever we start to feel that creep in, because it has a very different flavor, a very different temperature and color, what I want us to do is instead try to find a way to warm it and flush it with a different hue so that it becomes anticipation. I am excited about this. It is a new situation, one that does propose risks, and there are hazards involved, to which I will apply as much caution as I possibly can, and then I will do the thing. I will 100% get on board this whole business and truck on through this sucker. Fear is not going to kill my mind or paralyze me. I will continue on my adventure because that is why I was put on this world. Delicious. That's what I want. Not just for me, I want it for all of us. And it can be daunting. Whoa, it can be challenging. You can get up on something and you just get freaked out. Okay, y'all know I love an anecdote. I much prefer an example to an idea or an abstract. So let's do this. My bicycle. I'm riding this thing, my Oma Feet, my little grandma bike. And if I get going too quickly, I freeze. I start to hunker down. I can feel my joints stiffen. I can feel my shoulders in my ears. And that is when I make mistakes and errors and have serious or not so serious accidents. Close to my home, there's a ramp that goes down and then leads around the corner. You have to do a really sharp U to get back into the main little pathway that leads to my home. At the top and the bottom of this ramp, it's pretty steep. She's pretty good angle. There are bollards. There are concrete bollards to make sure, and there are gates. So you can't get a lot of speed going into or coming out of the ramp from either direction. You have to be very cautious. Well, I occasionally will try to take those on my bicycle as a rider and not walking beside it. And when I do, it is maybe 1 out of 26 tries that I actually make it without clanging my basket into a bollard or a gate. Why? Because I tense up, I freak out because of so many other times that I've tried this and failed horribly. Now I've preset myself to fear. And not only is my mind kilt, the rest of me joins in, because if your mind isn't working properly, clearly you don't have the same kind of control over your muscles and reflexes you would as if it were pliable and comfortable and entering into this situation with caution and joy. And then sometimes I make it through the first, I'm like, oh yeah, and then I get a little saucy, and then by the time I get to the bottom of the ramp, clong, dadgummit, did it again. And that it's just part of the gig. And the thing is too, did it hurt? Yeah, honestly it did. It did not feel good at all. I have honestly suffered worse injury on that daggone bicycle in the last, 5, 6 months than I have pretty much everything else in my life up to this point. In the last like 10, 15 years. I don't love it. Of course not. And how am I supposed to avoid it? This is a part of my life. This is my main mode of transportation. This and my OV card to get me on the bus or the train. This is what I use to get around. I got my feet, sure, but you're going to cut your travel time by 80% if you hop on that little two-wheeled monster and just don't get too cocky, Bullard. Well, I can't help it. Everybody else looks so cool. Yeah, and they've been riding that bicycle since they were knee-high to a teaspoon. Ease up. Check your situation. How about you survey the surroundings? Read the room, Bullard. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair. That's fair. Good. Anticipation is one of those things where I continue to look up. That's what it is. It's not just forward, it's up, because not only do I want to move forward, I want to make sure that I continue to climb, that I aspire and achieve. For worry, I often have this idea in my heart and in my mind's eye that the person that worries wrings hands and shrugs shoulders or slumps shoulders, making themselves smaller, less noticeable, more easily hidden or overlooked. Because for whatever reason, sometimes I think that fear is like the boogeyman. It's one of those things where people hope that they can escape this personified idea of fear by making themselves smaller or less noticeable, or perhaps not quite so confident looking, appearing. Maybe. I don't know. Again, we talk about these things, we just sort of roll them over in our mind's eye, trying to figure out a way that we can stay in anticipation instead of in a state of worry. Because that's just it. I think, especially the people with whom I surround myself, I'm so fortunate to have people that set lofty goals and often meet or overshoot them in the most incredible ways possible. The best part I love is whenever they do it without even noticing, or they overshoot. I've found that for myself often. Not a brag. I'm only sharing this because this experience happened to me, which means if it can happen to me, it can literally happen to anybody. All you have to do is commit and be consistent. So much of life is just committing and consistency. Wow, 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 wow. And I continue to preach that to everyone. With my work in social media, they're like, well, how do you have such blah, blah, blah? It's like, honestly, it comes down to being consistent, even if it is, you maybe have 10 pieces of content that you put out on the interwebs. If 2 or 3 of those really resonate well with people, you're great. Okay, but what about those other 7? Well, those other 7 are just to make sure that people don't forget who you are. Gosh, the world is moving so fast. You have to continue to keep your place, and I think that is very useful information whenever we start to talk about things like this. I think that anticipation is also a practice. I think if you continue to look for the next thing, appreciate what you've got, ruminate in it whenever you achieve it. Absolutely. Be proud that you were able to look at this thing, to be excited to complete this thing, worked tirelessly to achieve thing, did, and now you just get a minute to be like, I did that. Wow, exactly. Congratulations, you. That was no small feat. Well played. And then after we've gotten our fill and just, reminded ourselves of just how cool we are, it's time to start looking for the next thing because everything moves. Nothing stays the same. What was super cool 30 years ago is now your square one in the year of our Lord 2025. Don't get it twisted. I think if anybody knows anything in this day and age, that's it. The world is moving so quickly. I don't want anybody to discount the good they put into the world or the things they've done that they should be wildly proud of and share with their nearest and dearest so you can all celebrate the awesome you've put into the world. Please don't forget how quickly the rest of the world moves on. My goodness. And honestly, that hurts me. It's one of those things you're like, gee, this was a really big deal. And in a week, it's just another thing that we throw into the sack. Great. I did that in 2025. Huzzah, moving forward. I know. Gosh, it's tiring. Jeez Louise. Yeah. And instead of worrying about that situation, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave that cooler emotion on the side for as long as I possibly can. And I'm going to make it difficult for it to survive, honestly, because my anticipation is going to be so warm and so lush and colorful, almost exotic in its well, what do you call it? Plumage. Yes. Because for whatever reason, she's a bird. My anticipation is a rare and delicious tropical bird. She's got long tail feathers, and she is a majestic goddess descending from the sky. Wow. I can't wait to see how she's going to land. Exactly. I wait in bated breath anticipation to see how gracefully she alights herself upon the branch of yon exotic wood tree. Versus that hobbled pigeon. God love it. That mangy bird you see in the park sometimes. You've seen this animal. It's just pitiful looking. It's just so sad because it keeps on trucking. They're almost immortal. It feels like they are impossible to kill. And that metaphor sticks. And it because it is so mangy, because it has lost so many feathers, and it's got that sad little bald head, and it's got the ragged wingspan and all these other kind of things. Once it takes off, you're like, oh my God, made it off the ground. When it comes to land, there is worry for her safety. Is she going to be okay? Oh my gosh, look at that. It looks like a cross between a possum and a pigeon. How on earth is this creature going to land safely without going ass over tea kettle? And will it hurt others once it lights? Worry versus anticipation. One is clumsy, unwell, hard to kill, though not well. The other, graceful, majestic, regal, even. And it's not that you worry about it. You see what's happening. You make a prediction about where this glorious creature will land. And when it does, you're like, yep, called it. I just knew that was going to be what happened. see the difference? Do you feel the difference? Whereas that poor little mangy bald-headed pigeon, God only knows where that it's I honestly it's funny. The picture in my mind is that thing comes in for a landing and it actually turns into a feathered bowling ball and it goes crashing into a flock of its friends and it's just like and they are the pins and it hurts me for all of them. Ain't no reason for that poor little bird to be so sick. Ain't no reason for all those other birds to have to deal with those shenanigans every time she comes in for a landing. That's the thing. Anticipation gives you the confidence to make sure when you come in for your landing that you've got it. Your feet are underneath you. You've got your physics. You can feel the wind under your wings. You know exactly where this is going. You've done this 1,000 times. This is going to be absolutely no different. You know the limb where you're landing. Perfect. Let's get to business. Versus not having faith in what you've been given. Knowing that perhaps what you've got is a little under par, isn't healthy, has not been cultivated to a point where it is of use and strength to make sure you have a soft and secure landing. Honestly, some of us have pulled out our own feathers. That's the thing too. That's what worry will do to you. I have, along the same lines, whenever I get really stressed out, I chew at my cuticles. Now, my fingernails right now look really, really good, which is surprising considering the amount of pressure and stress I've been living with for the last however long. I think a lot of us do that to our own feathers. Whereas I will bite a cuticle, I think that goes along with our little pigeon metaphor. She pulls out her own feathers. She's so stressed out and she worries so much that she actually works against her own health out of nerves or fear or any other number of unusual reasons for doing something like that. The human brain is so amazing. We figure out something that we want, and then for whatever reason, this enormous fear, fright kicks in. And then we start making excuses or we start fabricating things that will stand in the way. Or instead of just doing the thing we know that will provide the outcome, we try to find a way around it from the opposite side of the planet. And I never understand that sort of situation. I've seen it happen 100,000 times. I've done it 50,000 times personally. I know it. I want to be in great shape. I also want a sweet treat. Okay, these two things are diametrically opposed. You can have a sweet treat, singular, once every couple of days. There ain't no reason for you to be eating something sweet after every flipping meal that you ingest, Bullard. Yeah, but it's been so good. Have you? Have you? And honestly, it's not a punishment. If that's what I choose, that's what I choose. However, it is in direct opposition to many of the goals that I have set in my life. Number one, I'm going to feel better if I don't eat that. It's just trash. I mean, the nutrition value of something like that is very, very low. All that is a self-soother. Whenever I'm feeling stressed out or whatever, it is literally it's sugar water in the cage of the lab rat. I'm just like, there it is. Great. Super. Soothe it. Put a Band-Aid on it. Or I just dig deeper into whatever else in anticipation of looking the way I want to look or lifting the way I want to lift or wearing something that I want to wear and I would feel more confident if I was at a certain level of fitness or whatever. Great. Like literally all these things. And I think everyone's reason or motivation is going to be very different. And I love that. We can't carbon copy one another. Like something that's wildly important to me could not be any less important to others. Wonderful. Good. I love that. Honestly, that makes me feel much, much better. Because if everyone had my goal and they were doing better than me, it'd piss me off. It sure would. It'd make me real mad. And to be fair, there are people who do share that, and they are in great shape. They might be in better shape. They might be in less great shape. It just is what it is. You have to continue figuring out what it is in your life that is the priority. Set that up. I look forward to the day that I can call this done by putting a tick beside it on my to-do list, by removing it from the to-do list because it's done. And I'm so excited for that. And I'll be so happy whenever I can tell everyone how I achieved it, or I can, show up looking a certain way, or I can, invite people over to the home that I've bought, or whatever this goal may be. There's so many of them. That's the thing. Pick it, make a plan, and then get after it and look forward to it. Anticipate that coming to fruition instead of worrying about whether or not. There's another beautiful difference there. Anticipation implies it is going to happen. Worry feels like a ratio. We got a 51-49% of affirmative. That means we got a 49% of a negative. So this is anybody's game right now. You're not putting faith in the fact that it's going to get done. And whenever you approach something with a little trepidation like that, it takes longer to get her done unless you're just real lucky. And that happens too. Luck sometimes plays into the part, and we just got to roll with it. Like, oh man, you are so fortunate, darn tootin'. Yes, I am. Do you know why? Because I've expected so much from other things in my life that have come to fruition. It's almost like background operating system. It's running in the background while I'm playing on Sudoku. It's in the background making sure all this continues to happen. All those things fall into place. Wonderful. What you practice is what you become. That's it. Repetition. It's practice makes permanent. And that's just the thing. And I love that. Great. If I'm good at, then I will get better at because I keep practicing. Wonderful. Then do it. If I continue to practice my worry and my fret and my cuticle chewing and slump shouldered hiding in a corner or in the darkness or any of those other kind of things, eventually that will become my natural state of being. Bloody cuticles, rounded shoulders, hiding over in a corner, hoping no one's going to notice me. How am I supposed to achieve all the things I came to do if that is my natural state of things? That ain't easy. Is it impossible? No, hardly anything is impossible. Is it going to be much easier if you approach it with more of a confident anticipation than a fearful worry? Yeah. Yeah. And if it doesn't, we start finding another way to do it. Okay, super. So if that was too large a goal, maybe I can make several small goals on the way to that goal, and I can tick those off a little faster. It's like trying to eat an effluent. If you try to shove that whole thing in your mouth at one time, it's just not going to happen. But if you give yourself a year, you might just pull that off. Please don't eat an elephant. Please don't. That seems really bad. I've met them. I've hugged them. I've washed them. They're delicious little creatures, and I don't mean in flavor. They're so nice. Please don't eat an elephant. If you're going to take down something, if you're going to cut something up into bite-sized pieces so that you can do it, don't do an elephant. Do use that idea. Take that idea of I have X amount of time and I need to get this done. How much do I have to eat every day in order to get that done in the time allotted? I look forward to hearing how that works out for you. I'm not worried. I love the time we get to spend together. Thank you so much for being with us here at Radical Joy at CLW Studios. If this is your first episode, thank you so much for joining us. We are thrilled you're here with us. If this is not your first episode, welcome back, friends. So happy to have you here in the studio with us today and wherever you're listening. Speaking of, if you're a review person, wherever you're listening, please leave us a 5-star review. Take a screenshot, send it to us. We would love to send you some swag. Season 3 came with a brand new look, so we have some new gifts that we would love to send out to our listeners who send us reviews, 5-star reviews. More than likely, it's going to be a sticker. Absolutely, it's going to be a Radical Joy sticker, and you can put it on a water bottle or a journal or a laptop, wherever you choose to stick a sticker. Thank you so much for getting the word out about what we're trying to do here at Radical Joy. If you know people in your life you think would benefit from what we're doing here, please don't hesitate to tell them, and please accept my thanks for trying to get the word out about us and what we continue to strive to do daily. Please also never forget just exactly how much we love y'all.